Hey friends, Stephanie Rupert here of The Perfect Follow, and today we're going to talk about advanced frame theory and tips. I know that's a mouthful, but the reason is that this video builds off of a video that we did previously on having the basics of a frame. In that video, I talked all about what it means to have a frame. It's the way you hold your upper body, it's how you communicate with your partner who's also holding their upper body, and I talked about the beach ball shape, but what happens when you're in a different shape? Which muscles specifically are activated? How do you precisely calibrate what you're doing here? Now, this is incredibly important. Having a good frame is the key to being able to follow what your leader gives you, especially in a quick dance. Things are coming lightning fast at you, and if you don't have your frame properly calibrated to be able to meet your leader where your leader is, you're going to miss the cues for the moves that you should be doing. So first, as a quick caveat, this video does not apply to the swing dances, to West Coast swing, East Coast swing, Lindy, whatever. This is specifically for salsa, bachata, kizomba, and zouk. First, the first thing you want to do is connect your frame well. If your hands are touching, your partner gives you a this, give them a this back, right? If you have a this, give them a this back. Make sure that there's no leaks here, that your hand isn't sort of folded or loosely or not all together there. Now, that doesn't mean you want to put pressure on it, but it means you want to have all of the connection points you possibly can. I've been showing you with your hands, but this applies anywhere. In the Latin dances, it's very common to have your arms, right? You're in closed position, your arms are on top of your leader's arms. And in this case, you want to have points of connection here between your leader's hand and your armpit, here between your elbow and their elbow, and here with your hand on their shoulder or on the back of their shoulder blade. Now you can play with that a little bit, but really, ideally, the more connection you have here, the better your leader will be able to put your arms and give you connection where your leader wants to. So do that. Secondly, you want to be able to do this in such a way that when a lead is given to you, you have what I think of as no leaks. Now, one of my favorite bachata leaders is a plumber, and he says the key to doing a good bachata is having no leaks. Now, for him, this might mean that our bodies are pretty close when we dance, but this also means that when you connect, you don't miss part of the signal, right? So if your hands are not properly connected, if there's space, you're going to miss a signal being given to you. But this also means that if there's any leaks at any point along your frame, then you might miss something that's coming to you. You need to have a continuous line of muscles connected. So which muscles are these? What's going on? Unfortunately, it varies depending on every kind of position you're in. In the first video, I talked about this shape, the open position shape, that happens. But you're going to often find yourself in different positions. You'll be turned around with your arms like this, right? And then what happens? As it turns out, the muscles that are activated in your frame are always going to be different depending on everything. Your leader, the speed of the dance, where you are relative to your leader, and the position of your arms. But what's crucial is that you find a way to connect from your hands if you're dancing in open position or elsewhere. Maybe you're being led from your back. You need to connect the point you're being led from to the rest of your body. It's all connected. So what does this mean? This means, one, you need to keep your shoulders down. When shoulders come up, it disrupts the line of connection here. Two, you need to keep your lats engaged right here. Something that I like to think when I'm dancing is about sort of a line, a very small, maybe like fishing wire, a small taut line that runs from my hands, the tips of my fingers, through my forearm, underneath my upper arm, and then through here. These need to be connected really well, because if you don't have your arms connected to your back, your whole body won't go with you when you're being led. Your whole body needs to go when you're spun, when you're pulled forward, when you're pushed back. Your body needs to go with you. So these, your lats, are critical. And you'll notice in different positions that they're engaged in different ways. Now, when your shoulders are down, you also want to keep them back. So you have them back some, you have your lats engaged, and you want to think about how your dance is getting into your back, into your body, and propelling your torso. Okay, so when you're in different positions, what do you do about that? Right, so you may find sometimes that this is stretching a lot. Start paying attention in your dancing to different ways in which you're activating your muscles. You will find that in every pattern and everything that you're doing, you're going to swing around, you're going to come back in a way that engages your muscles differently. Sometimes you'll feel it up here, sometimes you'll feel it on the back. Take note, pay attention. Your leader is going to be giving you something from a specific part in your leader's body, and you need to respond with the right part in your body. So what is this response? So in the swing dances, just for a comparison, they're constantly in a push and pull against each other. It's pushing this way, it's pulling this way. They're banding apart. Think of it like a rubber band. They're here, and then they're here, and they're pushing together, and then they're springing apart again. There's a lot of elasticity in these dances. The Latin dances are different. When you're connecting neutrally, you're neutral. You're 100% neutral. You don't push, you don't pull. You just set and wait. You wait for your leader to give you something. Now your leader initiates a movement, a pull. Your leader pulls on you. What do you do with that? Do you hang back? Do you let your whatever? If you're holding your frame, this pull that your leader is pulling on you, you need to activate back immediately. So you're neutral, you feel some tension, you feel something in the fingers coming from the forearms, the biceps, the triceps, the center of gravity. You feel something coming and you give it back. But the trick is that you give it back just a little bit. You give it back just enough to hold your frame. Say, for example, that your leader pulls on you with a level of 10, power of 10. If you pull back with a 12, for example, you're going to be overpowering your leader and the move is not going to happen. You're going to end up moving back in your direction. But if you give back with an 8, your leader can still pull you because they have a 10. Their force is greater than yours. But giving back with an 8 is really heavy. That makes you a very heavy follow. So what you want to do is give back with like a 2 or a 1. You feel a pull, you pull back just enough so that you're giving them your tension. This is what makes you a lighter follower in some ways. And then they can pull you, but you still keep your frame. The same exact thing goes for pushing. This is called, to borrow West Coast swing terminology, compression. The pulling is extension, the pushing is compression. When you feel your leader compress into you, you compress back. Your leader might give you a 10, don't give them a 12. An 8 is pretty heavy, a 2 might be good. Push back just a little bit, and then you have this strength. I don't want to say tension, you have this strength between the two of you holding your own frames such that your leader can push you where your leader wants you to go. Rotating is the same thing. Say you're here, for example, in salsa. This is how spinning works. You hold this. When you feel this pushed upon in a rotational manner, you push back. I know that we don't think of it that way, but this is actually how spinning works. You're holding this strongly enough that when you're pushed upon, you don't let your hand go. You hold it here. You're pushed, and then your body rotates because this is strong. That's how the frame works. Your leader pushes on you 10, you give back 2 or 3, maybe a little bit more is more comfortable for you, but just be careful with your leader. Hold it at a 1 maybe, and you go. And that's how you calibrate, and you can work on the subtlety of this. And you will find that leaders really enjoy it, that when they change the level that they give you, that you change the level that you give them. They will sometimes switch from being very hard and fast to being very gentle and soft. And if you can follow that, it's a really big part of where the magic comes from in dancing. So that's it so far as advanced frame theory and tips go for now. To recap, you want to be careful about which muscles you're engaging, to take note, to keep your lats engaged, to let that come into your back, to move your legs when you move, keep your shoulders down and back, and also to work on calibrating your frame such that you give and receive and spin in such a way that you don't overpower your leader, but rather give them a perfectly well little spring, a very gentle spring out of which they can make these magic things happen. So that's frame advanced tips and theory, and thank you so much. If you have any questions, please let me know. I love talking about this stuff, and I will see you next time. Thanks.